You're listening to The White Rabbit, conversations on the art of presenting in a rather noisy world. Your hosts are Matt Krause and Alper Rozanes. Matt helps leaders of international companies speak, write, and present with confidence. Alper is an author, communications trainer, and a startup investor with a diverse portfolio of companies in Barcelona. If you like this podcast, please share with your friends and colleagues. Now, on to Matt and Alper for today's conversation.
So, Alper, tell me, what's on your mind today?
Matt, today I'm planning to turn this recording into one where I rant and rave about some technical problems and use it as a as a therapy session.
Okay.
But actually, I'm referring to something that is an actual thing that happened a couple of months ago. A short while ago, I was sitting in a room full of people and listening to entrepreneurs who want to receive investment for their projects, and they were pitching to us.
Okay.
I was sitting there as one of the potential investors, and one particular project actually had attracted my attention more than the others.
Okay.
But at the height of their presentation, the team wanted to show a video, to demonstrate how the product worked, and unfortunately, that's when things started to fall apart. The software that they were using, it didn't. I mean, it's no laughing matter because, well, I'll come to the significance of that. What happened is it didn't work as expected, and the team found themselves standing in front of us, not knowing what to do. They said they told the video contained some important points to demonstrate how the product worked, and it would actually how the product worked was actually the value proposition that they were bringing. So it was extremely important that we saw how it worked. They ended up, they ended up spending some time, a couple of minutes, to make it work. But of course, this was a pitch contest, so the timing was critical and rigid. Yeah, and these minutes were deducted from the total time. Anyway, in the end, the video didn't work. Okay. And one of the team members uncomfortably said, "Well, if you want to see the video, come forward to the desk after all the presentations are finished, after all the other teams presented." Okay. And I deliberately remained in my seat after the event finished, after all the presentations finished, to see if any of the other investors would proceed, would go to the desk and ask to see the video, because it was an interesting project.
And so what happened? Did any of the investors go?
None of them did.
Oh, wow.
Well, I went because I was interested, but I was also interested in to see how the other people would respond. No other person actually went to the desk, and I watched them just walk away. Yeah. And the significance is they missed a huge opportunity because of a problem that could have easily been avoided. So that's why I wanted to bring it up today. And not only in terms of investor presentations, but whenever we're presenting to people, we can never know in which presentation, which audience member may have the power to change the course of our lives. So we need to make sure that everything goes well according to plan in the presentations. And over the past several years, I see that videos in presentations are one of the areas that provide that cause the most problems. That's why I wanted to talk about it today.
For sure.
Which are easily avoidable. So that's what I want to talk about today.
Okay, so when the video didn't work, so in minutes, in terms of minutes, how many minutes went by while they were standing there trying to get the video to work before they finally gave up and said, "Okay, we're just going to have to do this verbally"?
Well, they had a total of 4 minutes, so they had already spent 2 minutes, which meant
a total of 4 minutes to do their whole presentation.
Yeah, this was
wow.
Yes, this was a pitch contest. There were 10 teams. So it was a pitch contest. So they didn't have much time. This is not like an hour-long presentation where they could say, okay, we're having some problems. Take a coffee break. We'll come back when we fix it. No.
This video problem burned half of their presentation time. Is that correct?
Half of their time, and I would say the entire presentation, the entire opportunity. I think they miss a good one.
So first of all, just to start with, I mean, you've got your life's work, and you've got 4 minutes to explain it. That's really hard. Just start with it.
That's difficult enough.
Yeah, that's difficult enough if everything goes perfectly, and then your video doesn't work. So tell me more. So what happened?
Well, in their case, not much. But I mean, not much happened because the time was over and they had to leave the stage. Okay. And like I said, none of the investors was interested enough at the end of the event to go and say, hey, the video didn't work. I want to see it.
Okay.
So today I want to talk about 3 ways of actually making sure that this doesn't happen or preventing it as much as possible.
Because, okay, so 3 ways of preventing this problem.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Well, the first one is having the mindset that the internet doesn't exist. Like,
I can't
not relying on internet coverage.
Oh, okay.
Well, yes, we're recording this in 2022. You know, speeds are high. Everybody's connected. Even my speaker in my apartment is connected to the internet somehow.
Okay.
But that connection can break at any moment, and I don't want that to happen during an important presentation that I'm delivering to a critical audience.
Okay.
So do not rely on internet connectivity. And I recommend that you always keep an offline copy of the video, especially if it is a very important video. Always keep an offline copy on the computer, on a stick, etc. So think like it's the 1990s and we don't have fast internet, or we don't have internet at all. So that's the first step.
You've got the video sitting on your USB stick, for example, and the internet goes down. So you're saying take that video and play it on the screen so that people can see it. And
well, actually, my second point is about that.
Okay, go ahead.
The video on the USB stick is a last resort backup if everything else goes south.
Okay.
So my second recommendation will be, yes, keep a video on the stick, but during the presentation, embed the video directly into the presentation so that you don't have to play with switching between the presentation software and the file explorer, the media player, etc., etc.
Sure.
The second tip that I want to share is embed the video directly into the presentation. Now, some people can identify with the fact, well, people old enough, like our age, can identify with the fact that previously this was a problem.
Yeah.
When the computers weren't good enough, when the software wasn't robust enough, embedding the video directly into the presentation had its own set of problems that it brought. The computers would freeze, the presentation software would crash. In the worst case, you would have to reset the computer, etc. But luckily, most of those days are over. So the computers are strong enough. Put the video file directly onto the slide and play it when the time comes. Now, be careful with autoplay, because when you're presenting, you don't want to come to the slide of the video and suddenly start in the background playing. There are settings in all presentation software to make sure that when you come to the slide for the video, it actually waits for you. It actually waits for the presenter to push the button to start playing. So put the video into the slide directly, save it with the presentation file, and set the autoplay off so that it starts only when you're ready to show the video. That's important.
Okay.
And the third tip that I want to share has to do with preparation and rehearsal.
Okay.
But in this case, I'm talking more about the technical preparation. You need to verify that your video and your presentation in general will work seamlessly and without any problems across multiple platforms.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, for example, in this case, the presenters were using a setup given to them by the organizers.
Okay.
So you may have prepared your presentation on a Mac using, for example, Keynote presentation software, but then suddenly you may find yourself in a situation where the setup is PowerPoint on Windows. Mm-hmm. So you need to make sure in advance that your presentation will work without any problems across all the platforms.
Okay.
That's why you need to prepare and rehearse in advance.
Okay.
But at the same time, you need to find out, for example, if you're going to present on a computer which is not yours, you need to ask to the organizers, to the event in advance, what is a platform, what is a software, what am I going to use, what is the screen, etc. You need to clarify all these things to make sure that you don't have any last-minute surprises.
Okay.
Because I have been there too. I have seen so many people, come to the venue with their presentations on a stick, which wasn't compatible with this technical setup that the organizers had there. So they had to juggle between. Not juggle, but they had to rush to make sure that the presentation worked. And in some cases, it didn't. So you do not have the luxury of finding out at the last moment that your presentation is not 100% compatible with the setup that is in front of you.
Okay. So before we wrap up, let me just make sure that I'm hearing you correctly. So you're actually not saying embed your video. For example, tip number 2 was embed video, right? Was that tip number 2?
Yes, onto the slide. Yeah.
Yeah, embed your video onto the slide. So you're saying, or you're advising your clients, or you advise people, don't consider embedding the video on a slide. Don't consider that a backup. Do that from the start. So these are not backup plans in case plan A doesn't work. You're saying just assume 100% chance that plan A is not going to work and prepare for these other situations. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Well, the first step that I shared, having the video offline on a stick, was a total plan Z for cases where everything goes wrong.
Okay.
But you still want to show the video, so that you don't have to say, well, I had a great video, it was online, and there is a problem with the internet, so I cannot show it to you.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
You don't have the luxury to say that. So you're right. The second step is actually the most crucial step, which is including the presentation onto the slide. So it's not a backup in case plan A doesn't work. It's actually the recommended step.
Okay. Wow. Good point. All right. So I've got this brings 10 million things to mind, but we don't have time for those. So we'll just leave those for a future episode. So we'll wrap up here and we'll save those questions for future episodes. So thank you very much for the tip, by the way, Alper.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right, so that wraps up today's episode, and we will see you on the next episode of The White Rabbit.
Okay, good talking to you.
Good talking to you, Alper. Talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to The White Rabbit with Matt Krause and Alper Rozanes. You can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or through your favorite feed.